wow.
That's really
I don't want to get emotional, but obviously it's a tough pill to swallow. Obviously, like things didn't work out. I think maybe that's.
You're generally hurt by it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Ooh, hey guys, welcome to Little Black But Another One, your favorite dating and relationship coach. Listen, we're breaking down Catherine part 2. We're talking about the fact that she was flirting with Sam, and I've called this self-sabotaging, passive-aggressive behavior to Freddie. Yeah. Look, whenever we're talking about dating issues, we need to go to the root cause of the issue, right? We've listened to Catherine. We've heard her talk about her adoption and how she grew up in a household where grew up being adopted and how that affected her. She had to fight for her life and defend herself. And so that's made her a little bit sassy, as she said, which I just think is basically rude and a bit mean. And as she said, you know, a little bit bossy and snappy as well, right? And because she has those traits, I also believe that alongside that is abandonment issues, abandonment wounds, which when they're not dealt with, obviously that goes along with rejection wounds as well at the same time. What ends up happening is that the person, when they to try and avoid the feeling of dealing with that abandonment wound when they are triggered by a behavior, and we know that for her, she was triggered by a particular behavior. Hold on.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, she was triggered by a particular behavior, which was that when she was talking with Freddie earlier on, what she was saying and what he was saying was the same thing, pretty much. She was saying, "Oh, he looks like my ex-boyfriend 5 times." She really was kind of testing him, and I don't really like that. And he ended up saying, "Oh, yeah, I know. She looked, you know, that girl, whatever her name is, Kath, whatever the other girl's name is, was it Charlotte or whatever? She looks pretty, right?" And she said, "Oh, you said that twice now." And he was like, "Yeah, you said obviously that the guy looks like your ex too." Maybe he was kind of pushing back on what she was saying, and maybe he was being passive aggressive too, right? Because I know he comes from an anxious attachment style as well, which we hear because he's always talking about how he doesn't feel like he's worthy of her as well. But so it's interesting to hear, obviously, with to know that because what she did is then immediately went to Sam, and then literally she was flirting outrageously, so bad. I'm going to say this, obviously, we don't know what her intentions, quote unquote, were. Like, if we didn't know, if we didn't have more information in terms of seeing what's being said, right, and seeing things from different angles, the way that this needs to be approached has to be very much different to just going, "You definitely flirted." What we need to be saying is, "I feel like that." So, like, when we talk about Freddie and his behavior towards her and correcting her or challenging her on what he saw, he has to use the "I" statements rather than saying you did. Because if you say you did, you begin to blame the other party, who's just going to get defensive about it, probably deny it, or even very rarely do people take accountability all the time. So you probably end up denying it, and then it becomes a fight and an argument. And then someone feels disrespected, someone feels they're not being heard, someone feels they're not being seen, right? We don't want that. What we want is a solution to the problem. Now, I want to say that first and foremost, from our perspective, she damn well was flirting. The things that she said about the ring were actually disrespectful. Like, it wasn't just flirting, it was disrespectful because it got to a point where she spoke about the ring and saying, "That's the one that I really wanted."
Yeah. I'm
No,
here to listen.
Yeah, no, I hear
And
that.
like,
There's generally the chapter's closed. It's
and
generally,
listen, if you are ever in town,
No. Why are we asking about whether you are in town or not? Now, that's crazy work. The fact that she was asking, saying to him, "If you are in town, you can meet up." Baby, aren't you about to be married to someone? And you talk about someone else, Sam. You want to start now talking about how you want to invite him out to London, and if you're around, check me. And you're really doing that because you're pissed off about the fact that you weren't getting that right attention, or at least a validation and reassurance you were trying to get from Freddie. You never got it. Right, we know that because obviously earlier on she spoke to Maria and told Maria about how he doesn't hug her, and he makes things very silly, so doesn't make it very inviting. But the problem of the matter is, the problem of the situation is, when we're looking at the situation, she has decided to make a behavior now to leave you and go and have this conversation with Sam and then tell him that, "You know what, that's the ring I actually wanted. Mine's like dust," or whatever she said. It's like, it's so tiny. And said, "This is the one I wanted." Literally disrespecting Freddie right there and then. And he's right in earshot too. Yeah, because she wanted you to know. Oh no, this wasn't to be done by mistake. She wants you to know so that you can check your behavior, because she believes and in essence what you're doing is you're actually punishing the person. You're in essence punishing the person. So for me personally, I'm looking at going, why would you do that? Now, the reason why people do that is because that one of the things they're doing is self-sabotaging, that people do that. But I think in this case, what ends up happening is that the fear of being abandoned and the fear of being rejected, right? That the only way she knows how to make this work is to make you feel like you need her. And that will make him cling onto her. So if I flirt, that should then send a signal to him that he wants, that, you know, he's about to lose me. So he should hold on to me. That's the way the mind is working. Now, ordinarily, that might work in certain cases, but actually that pushes people a lot more away from you than it actually brings people to you. But I can guarantee it's probably worked in the past because people have been drawn by that. Of course, you know, a lot of us have been insecure growing up and toxic relationship, so it felt natural to draw and clasp onto, because we are also scared of being abandoned, so we will hold on to her. But as people begin to grow, becoming more healthy, knowing how to handle themselves and relationships, that's not going to be anything but petty, and then it's going to push the person away, because why are you flirting with somebody else and trying to get me to move? Now, Freddie can approach this in two different ways. He can go, I'm not going to entertain it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm not even going to mention it because you were trying to get me to maneuver and move based on your behavior. Now, he could do that. But do you know what could happen? She could end up being like pissed off about the fact that he didn't move and everything like that. And then probably end up doing another thing again just to get his attention based upon the fact that he didn't respond to the first one. Right? Or it could set her on the way and go, actually, he doesn't get moved by that. He doesn't fall prey to those tricks. Right? Or he can go the opposite way, right? He can be like, I'm going to do the exact same thing you're doing, right? I'm going to flirt with somebody else as well and show you what it is. And that's a passive aggressive movement. You don't want to do that either, right? So you got stoic and then you got passive aggressive. What I like is the middle ground, which is called assertive communication. You let somebody know that, hey, Catherine, can I talk to you for a second? I want to be really honest. The behavior I just saw, first of all, I want to say, listen, you look lovely tonight. You look stunning, okay? If I haven't told you you look beautiful tonight, I want to tell you look beautiful tonight. All right. I want to let you know that, listen, when I saw you earlier on talking with Sam, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. Okay. When you were talking with Sam, it felt like you were flirting to me. See how I directed it to me? Because it's not the absolute truth. Even though we can see it as an audience, to him, he has to perceive it as it may not be that. You can't close the box. You have to allow people to also have their truth as well that come to the table. I want to be honest, it looked like flirting to me. So I heard some of the comments which I felt were disrespectful to us and to myself in terms of our union. I.e., when you said about the ring being bigger and just one you wanted, and actually it's the one that you wanted, I felt like you were disrespecting me. I felt like you were tarnishing me. I felt like you were almost belittling me a little bit, and not holding me to a high regard. So I feel hurt by that. I really do. I feel hurt by that behavior. I'm a little bit sad, and actually I feel a bit withdrawn from you a little bit. It's made me feel a bit distant from you, simply because of what I've seen and what I've heard. And I would love to know what your perception was on that situation. Is that how you saw it? Now, she may come to the table and tell you, no, that's not how I saw it. That's not what I was doing. Da, 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 da. Now, of course, someone might say, well, they can gaslight you. But the reality of the situation is they're going to have to explain themselves. Right? Now, they do that once, twice, 3, 4 times. You do that enough times where they're doing the exact same thing over and over again. You got rid of them. You got to get rid of them. That's a pattern of behavior. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So once you ask that question, and they should tell you, okay, look, no, I wasn't trying to flirt. That wasn't what I was doing. I wasn't trying to do that at all. Or they might take accountability and be like, actually, yes, I was flirting. You know why? I was, and you might have to ask, why were you flirting? You'd be like, because I was scared. I really wanted your attention. I wanted your validation, reassurance. And in that moment, I said what I said. Sorry about that. I thought the people were shooting, but they weren't. Fireworks. Okay, so you got to invite her, and so she can share her perception, and she can let you know either by taking accountability, or she may explain herself and say that was not how it actually was. And so what that will do is just foster understanding from both of you, but you can still let her know how you felt. Even if she tells you that's not what her intention was, you can still tell her the impact of her behavior, that when she said those comments, it made you feel some type of way, and you explain your emotions. If you need an emotional will, I was of emotional will. So, you go into that emotional will and you look at some of the emotions that you were actually feeling, and you express that to the person, that you didn't like that particular behavior when you did X, Y, and Z. In future, right? I would appreciate if you didn't make such disparaging comments, because it hurts me and it hurts us as a brand. Right? And then that person now knows in future not to do that behavior again. Do you get what I'm saying to you? We have to have that space to do so. Now, of course, we can see as an audience that was mad disrespectful, and she was flirting. We know that already, right? We can see that. But when you're in a relationship, sometimes you have to be very careful, because this is how it might feel like in your head. But actually, when you really look at it, it weren't like that at all. And this is why I said about sometimes we've got to be very careful. Is why we can't rush to say that that's what it is. We have to understand that this is how I felt. You saw the behavior and it made you feel. So own how you feel. Don't displace it onto the other party. Don't put the blame on the other party. Own the feeling. You know what I'm saying to you? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Listen, I want to let you guys know. Listen, if this is something that you're dealing with in relationships, then it's a great time to reach out to me. Sign up for our coaching. I am booked up to November. Can't lie to you. So I've opened up some emergency spots, which are going to cost you, but trust me, it's worth its weight in gold. It will pay for itself. So sign up, get yourself involved. Let's start the journey of healing, growth, and transformation for you. Okay, all right. And handle these affairs in the right types of way. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. And don't forget, you can win yourself a trip to Ghana this year for 2025, okay, by clicking it in the link in the description box. Sign up, grab yourself a raffle ticket, buy more than one if you want, buy one for family, and get yourself involved. It's $4 or something like that, £4 or $6, something cheap. So grab yourself a ticket, because you know how much it costs to go to Ghana? It's expensive. I'm gonna be there anyway, so I appreciate